Give another quick brief run through. Woke up today to some text messages from my niece's boyfriend, who actually took some auto body classes in high school for 3 years and ended up winning some awards for refinishing and body work. He filled me in on a bunch of stuff, gave me a bunch of info on how to better tackle this Bondo stuff and body filler stuff that I'm dealing with. And Fireman also reached out on me on my last video, so I wanted to thank those two guys for info and answers to questions I had. So thanks, guys. And on to where I'm at today, see if my work's improving a little bit. So I took down everything here, took down the back sail panel and the little rocker stuff better than it was yesterday. Now that I know that my grits I need to be at for starting with is way off from where I was at the other day. I was thinking start at like 80 to 100, and turns out you start around 40 grit for this Bondo to take it down. Then you can step it to 80, then to 120. But from what I'm doing, I think I'm just gonna stay at 80. I don't think I'm gonna do any block sanding right now. I did order Durablocks, 7-piece set. I did order some adhesive back rolls of 40, 80, 120, and I think like 150, 160, 180, somewhere in there. I think I ordered 4 rolls of it. So burned close to $100 on some sanding stuff. So hopefully it'll last a little while. But anyways, to show you where I'm at, finished scuffing this down and gave it a nice little swipe through. I don't know how well you can tell, but this swiped on a whole hell of a lot better on the round two. Let's see if I can get a decent shot from over here. Some blobs where I just kind of touched up, but old Valkyrie pooch out there just waiting on the roommate to come back, bored and lonely. Poor thing's just mistreated. But anyways, so the back, I'm hitting bare metal in spots, so I stopped. This is actually pretty good. I mean, it's a high spot here. I don't know if I can be able to hammer this down any, because the weld is right here and it's gonna be a hard spot, and I think the weld's gonna be up a little bit too. I may try to tap that in, kind of afraid to. Actually, no. I don't know if this will move at all, because not only is it welded on the face on this one, I also welded it on the flange underneath on the backside, so it's doubled up. The other side, I cut the flange off completely and just stitched it all the way down. So this side, I might just have to filler up some. I'll try to tap this down, but I might have to just filler it up and smooth it out. I got some low areas back here I still need to fill up. High where this wheel well overran, a little bit of low spot where it comes down. But I'll scuff this out better before I refill it, get rid of this unsanded stuff so it'll actually adhere to it good. But I'll try to tap these down with a hammer a little bit. On the top, this came out a lot better. I still got a little bit of a dip here. There's a little dip right there and on down, and I've got pinholes. And that is probably because when I first opened this can, and this was the first side it did, it's been sitting for a while and the resin had risen up a good bit. The resin had risen. But anyways, I went ahead and I couldn't really, knead it or fold it over that well. So I kind of stirred it around, so I'm sure I put air bubbles all in it. So I've got pinholes, all over the place, there, back here, several of them. So I'll swipe over there. This still has to be sanded. I mean, it's That's got a lip there. That's a little bit of a lip here. And back here needs work, but overall it's coming along nicely. My grade 8 bolt collection I'm saving up from all the shit from the suspension stuff I didn't use. So down here, same thing. I've got a dip right here that's pretty beast. And that was because this this wheel well, I couldn't get to really fold inward anymore. So this is gonna be kind of a slope outward to meet this. And I'm gonna just have to blend it inward. That's a good little dip where I filled a weld. This was, I think there was a dent there and it burned through. It was real thin. But this is the weld line. I'm not gonna be able to do anything with that. Now the metal is kind of thick there because it's weld line, and it's not just sheet metal. But I can't hammer that down. I'm not really worried about sanding into it all that much. I've got more to do. There's a lip there. Well, you come to see what's happening, or that jet scare you, pooch? Anyway, so I've got to hit this where it's bright, or that dark green where it's not hit yet. Got bare metal back here where I'm hitting, and then I'm hitting metal up front here. It goes inward a little bit here at this lip because this inner piece was fabbed, and I may not have taken quite enough out to push it in. I pushed it into where this lip was flush, I think. But up here might have not been. I don't know, but I'll fill it out. I mainly wanted to start with this Everglass just because of the big indentions. I'm gonna fill in these gaps here. And this area is better in this lip here with Everglass. And then I'll come back and Bondo smear the whole thing. And up here, I've got to get in here, sand better. This still has to be taken down some up here. It's got a lip there. This is pretty good. There's a lip there. That's good there. A little bit of a lip right here. I was trying to get to where I could take this down without hitting into this. It's quite hard to do with the pneumatic. But it's coming a whole lot better. It took it down a good bit. I've got, I think, 60 grit on my DA. And that needs to be replaced already, but I think I'm rocking 60 grit on it, and it takes it down pretty well. I think the 36 or 40 grit's what I'd do by hand. I did have a question and I'll go back and watch probably Joe Daddy's videos or one of the guys that does Mustangs and see how they handled this transition. I don't think you actually make this peak to go flush across. And granted, my finger's bending down and you still see that air gap. I could get a straight edge and lay it across there, but that's a significant drop. I want to say it transitions. It goes forward and then it changes angle and goes up into the sail panel. Almost certain of that. So what I'll probably do is build this up and then I'll sand it to the form I need. That way I've got a nice smooth round edge over the back. Also found out I should have welded this seam since I'm planning on filling that anyways. I'm gonna just fill this with Everglass probably, and then I'll kind of round it. I'll just put a sanding pad in there like that and round this out. But I don't like having this groove. I mean, I did away with this seam. I'm doing away with, where is it? Oh, it's not on yet. I'm doing away with this seam. When I bolt the end caps on, I'm not cutting this. I'm leaving this piece solid to the car. I don't plan on removing that back off once I put it on. Final. It's also why I haven't bolted it up yet, because I'm not sure if I'm ready to make that permanent, which I mean, I could, I guess, bolt it up, but I need to finish sandblasting them. They're down here. I need to finish sandblasting them down and prepping them, getting them good for epoxy. But when they go on, bondoing, or bolting on tight with probably some Teflon nuts, bondoing over and smoothing it over as one piece. I'm taking away all the seams I can on this car. Another thing along with the this sail panel question I had, see this one's same deal, bit of a transition. The other question I had, I want to say previously before I tore the car down, this lip here you didn't see. This was Bondoed, I believe. Almost certain this had Bondo swiped over it. Whether or not it did, I'm gonna put Bondo here. Real thin swipe just to take out this lip. And the trick is to keep this whole. And I'm thinking I'm gonna put a piece of tape on the back of it, swipe it, and maybe take a toothpick or something, or not even a toothpick, maybe just one of my actual automotive picks, and poke through this hole just so I know where it's at. And then I can run a real fine drill bit through it once it hardens some maybe. But I know I want to make sure that this hole is either very little Bondo left on it, or that the Bondo around it is drilled enough to where when I tighten this little gasket down, the screw doesn't hit the Bondo and crack it if it is any thickness and break away a paint there or whatever, and make sure that it tightening down doesn't cause this little, I don't think it'll be enough to cause this sheet metal here to flex, but regardless, that's I think what I plan to do is just poke that hole out and then run a fine drill bit through it. I don't foresee a bunch of Bondo being there anyways. I mainly want to get rid of this seam, which there isn't even a seam in some areas where I welded it like this, but I'll do that with it. I think that's it for now, guys. I did read up on some different things. Apparently there's huge disputes with back and forth with the Bondo over epoxy. I did not remove the epoxy where I put this stuff on right now. I mean, the second coats have gone on to some bare metal, but the original coats I just scuffed with like 40 grit or something like that, or 80 grit, I don't even remember. My niece's boyfriend says he was taught up to lay it straight on the bare metal. Most of the body fillers will say take off paint, but they don't mention epoxy primer. And when you call, they'll say that a bunch of places require you to have primer on bare metal before body filler and to just scuff it. And from my research I read, or of a guy that tested, and he actually found that scuffing it with scuffing it with 36 had worse results than 80, and scuffing it with 120 had better results than the 80. So it seemed like the higher the grit you went, the better it got. And Fireman also confirmed from what I was looking at, he said that the same deal. That was the body filler onto bare metal was a thing of the past. That was the recommendation of old because of, I guess, what chemicals were used in them and how they adhered to one another. I know you can apply body filler straight to epoxy within the 7-day period without even having a scuff because it gives a chemical bond. But this epoxy's been on here longer. This stuff is on here. It is glued to the metal. At least everywhere, all of these areas. There's a couple areas where I sprayed on the car where I did not scuff. I just finished spraying out the can for whatever dumb reason, like these that I had to go back and do, that are now, you can see they're brushed on. I'll sand them and spray over them, even though they won't really be seen. But some of this started chipping off from the hinge being mounted. It's just because I didn't scuff them good. I didn't wax and grease them. I just sprayed on being a dumbass and spin out the rest of the paint can or the cup. So the way I see it, I'm probably just going to scuff most of this stuff where I need to apply body filler. Almost every panel on this car is new, so I shouldn't really need much body filler on the damn thing. The roof is original. I'll be scuffing it probably, or maybe some of it will take down to bare metal. But I'll probably scuff it with 80 grit and call it good. But the cowl, the quarters, all that's new. The fenders, they're new. They shouldn't, they might have a ding, the doors are new. I mean, they may have some dings that need to be addressed, but overall, Valkyrie, chill. Overall, it's new though. Sorry. The tail panel is not. Tail panel is original. Well, I say original. It wasn't replaced. The hood, the trunk aren't being replaced right now. Some of that stuff will probably come down to bare metal. So it pretty much boils down to whether or not I've already sprayed it with epoxy to protect it from rust, or if I'm getting ready to. But anyways, I've rambled on long enough. I meant this to be a quick video just to show where I was at and how the Bondo was coming after I've been educated a little better, and to give thanks to those that were very quick to give info. Also, I think I was mixing the filler a little bit too hot, so it was curing up before I could brush it on or swipe it on. Anyways, guys, thanks again, and thanks for watching.